So we'll be talking about all our formats for RCF, that's our radio communication failure. What are going to be the formats to make these calls? What all are the different situations in which we're going to make these calls and how we're going to go about them? So before getting started, let's understand what RCF is. So RCF stands for radio communication failure. When a station of our interest is not responding, and we've tried to communicate with all possible means. We've contacted it on the primary frequency, we've contacted it on the secondary frequency, but for some reason we are not able to get through. That would be a radio communication failure. Now this failure could be from our side, this failure could be from their side, but irrespective, we aren't going to be in touch with the ATC. Now there are two main reasons for RCF to happen. It could be because of technical reasons. You could have a receiver failure, you could have a transmitter failure, you could have multiple technical reasons for an RCF to occur, or it could be due to propagational errors. Okay, maybe you have a perfect transmitter, you have a perfect receiver, but for some reason, because of propagational errors, you're not able to receive anything, but you're still able to transmit. Okay, many a times you're not even able to transmit. Okay, so you have two major areas, two major reasons because of which you get RCF. It could be because of technical reasons or it could be because of propagational errors. So now we divide it into two branches. Let's see what do we do when we face an RCF due to a technical reason. When I say technical reason, I mean that I have a receiver failure. Okay, so what do I do? So like you have a general idea of how we contact the other aircrafts and what is our intention. Right, if we go back to the very basics of RTR, we know we spoke about whom are we calling, who is calling, where are you, what do you want. So along similar lines, there are two phrases we'll be using in all our RCF calls. So when we are facing RCF, okay, let's say we are facing RCF, we have had a receiver failure, but our current situation is such that we need to deviate. Okay, we need to fly outside our ATS route, or probably we were already on a deviated track and then we faced RCF. So we'll be calling all stations, that means we'll be calling all the aircrafts in our vicinity. In case of an RCF, we'll be calling other aircrafts in our vicinity only when we are facing a RCF and we needed to deviate from the ATS route, or we've already deviated. Think of something like a RBSM call on which you have also now had a RCF. Okay, you've had a radio communication failure. Or think of a weather deviation call where you're going to fly outside the ATS route, or you're going to deviate from the route, and during that portion you face an RCF. So in both of these conditions, you will want to contact the other aircrafts. Now, when do you use the phrase transmitting blind? Okay, you use the phrase transmitting blind when you're facing a RCF, but you're able to fly according to your flight plan. Okay, or you're going to be following whatever your last ATC clearance was, or you're going to follow the RCF procedures. So in this case, you'll be using transmission blind. Okay, you'll be using the phrase transmission blind. Now, transmission blind indicates to anybody who's listening that you are facing a radio communication failure. Okay, so transmission blind sums up the problem itself. It's a very clear indicator that XYZ aircraft is facing a radio communication failure. So you'll be contacting all the other aircrafts if you're facing a RCF and you have to deviate, or you've already deviated and then you face an RCF. In both the cases, you'll be contacting the other aircrafts. Apart from this scenario, you will have to transmit blind anytime that you're facing an RCF and you're going to fly according to your flight plan. You're going to follow ATC clearances, or you're going to follow RCF procedures. In that case, you're going to be transmitting blind. Fine. Now that we've established when are we going to call all the other stations, when are we going to transmit blind, let's look at our formats. So now technically, before we look into the formats, I want you to realize that to any flight, how many phases are there? There is takeoff, there is cruise, there is approach, there's landing. Okay? There's takeoff, there's cruise, there's approach, there's landing, essentially. So there are three arms where I can have an RCF. I can have an RCF during takeoff. I can have a RCF during cruise, or I could have an RCF during approach. So let's look at the formats for all the three. Okay. So our basic skeleton format is going to go along the lines of station called, again, station calling, transmission blind, whatever your position is in terms of DME, flight level, route, time, etc. And then you have to give estimates. Okay, you have to give estimates of two reporting points. That is estimate A, estimate B. You'll have to pass on your estimates. And now comes the question of what do you do? Okay, how do you execute this? What's the plan portion? Remember, we split all our calls according to position, problem, plan. So our problem portion is already taken care by transmission blind. We've already acknowledged that हमारा RCF हो गया है. So what do we do next? We have to pass our estimates. Okay, but how does it work? Look at this diagram here. Okay, now I want you to read this format and physically see what are we doing, what exactly is our plan. So let's say we've been cleared to some XYZ flight level. Okay, we've been given clear takeoff, runway heading, climb flight level 50, thereafter climb flight level 100. That's the instruction we've gotten. So let's say that we've climbed up to flight level 100, and exactly here RCF occurs. Okay, we face a radio communication failure from here on. Fine. So we call the stations, we tell who we are, we tell them we are transmitting blind, we give them our position, we give our estimates. Now here's where I want you to pay attention. We give our estimates. Okay, whatever the en route estimate is, we pass it on. We tell them that, this is our estimate, estimating this at time T. Basically, the amount of time it's going to take from here to here, right? If it's probably 10 o'clock here and this time T is 20. So you're going to estimate reaching this point at 10:20. Fine. Then you also pass on the estimate for whatever next waypoint is. Okay, wherever it is on the route. But you tell them that, hey, my file flight level was flight level 320. Okay, that's the one that is filed in your flight plan. And you faced an RCF at flight level 100 just after takeoff. So you tell them that, hey, I'm estimating such and such point at time T. Okay. And then I'm estimating point B at whatever time. But I will leave my current flight level for my cruise flight level at a time T plus 20. Meaning the moment whatever estimate I have given for my point A, okay, upon reaching that 20 minutes after reaching this point, I will initiate a climb to reach my flight level 320, whatever my flight plan says in that given paper. So let's look at a format again. So we station call, station calling, transmission blind, all this is done. Then we give our position. Then we give our estimates. So estimating of next two reporting points, estimating A at time T. Then you'll use the phrase that says we'll leave cleared flight level for cruise flight level at time T plus 20. Meaning in our example, if we were reaching point A, our first estimate at 10:20, I will say that, hey, I will leave my current flight level for my cruise flight level of 320 at time 10:40, because that's 10:20 plus 20 minutes after my first estimate is crossed. I will initiate a climb. Okay. We'll transmit again at time T. Basically, when you reach here, you will transmit again. And again, like any other RCF calls, you have to read out the call twice. In your exam, you'll be writing the call once, but you'll have to read it out twice. Okay. So hope you've understood. So now let's try solving a question on this. Okay, let's say you're an aircraft. Okay, I'll keep the format also here for you. Okay, so you're an aircraft, you're flying from Delhi to Bombay. You're a Air India 1012. You've taken off at 1100 hours. Your route is Alpha 474, flight level 300. Fine. So let's trace our route once. We say that we follow Alpha 474 all the way from Delhi to Mumbai. So you see Alpha 474 here, right? You see Alpha 474 here. And we take off from Delhi Papa November, Alpha 474 Ikaba, from Ikaba to Juliet Juliet Papa, all the way. Again, this is Alpha 474, so we have to change the map. Okay, so Juliet Juliet Papa, Alpha 474 to Gudum, further on to Idola, from there to Pratapgarh, Bodar, Songarh, Active, Bravo, Bravo, Bravo. So essentially this is our route. Okay. Okay, chalo. Now that we've traced our route, we are told that Delhi has cleared us to flight level 100, but we face an RCF passing flight level 70, take action. This is the kind of question we've been given. So let's take our format and let's see what do we do. Whom are we going to call? Let's start from that. Whom are we going to call? If we've been cleared to flight level 100, when you look at the map, you'll realize we are in the boundaries of Delhi's approach. So we call Delhi approach. Delhi approach. This is Air India 1012. Correct? Transmission blind. Transmission blind. What is our position? Our position, let's say we are roughly 20 DME outbound Delhi Papa November at 1125 hours. Flight level, passing flight level 70 for flight level 100, Alpha 474. That's my current position, right? No. Estimating, let's see. So, estimating what? I'm roughly 20 DME out. So my next estimate would be Ikaba, and my further next estimate would be Juliet Juliet Papa. So I say estimating Ikaba at what time is it? 11:25. Let's say I estimate Ikaba at 11:35. And estimating Juliet Juliet Papa at 1145. Fine. I passed my estimates also according to my format, if you see. So I finished my station call, that's Delhi approach. Station calling, that's Air India 1012. Transmission blind. Transmission blind basically tells them that we are facing an RCF. Then we give our position. Then we give our estimates. Fine. Now I'll use the phrase. So I'll tell them we'll leave flight level 100 for flight level 300 at what? 11:35. 11:35 is when we were reaching Ikaba, right? And 20 minutes, if you see here, now here we faced an RCF and this point is Ikaba. So we gave our Ikaba's estimate to be 11:35. We want to tell them that we will initiate a level change 20 minutes after we reach Ikaba. So the time is going to be what? 11:55. Perfect. So you tell them we'll leave flight level 100 for flight level 300 at 1155. Okay. Now we'll transmit again at 1135. Basically when you reach Ikaba, and then you read back the whole call. Okay, you read it again. Okay, so here you use the phrase I say again. Okay, so that's what the call looks like if you're facing an RCF during takeoff. So Delhi approach, Air India 1012, transmitting blind, position 20 DME outbound Delhi Papa November at 1125 hours, passing flight level 70 for flight level 100 Alpha 474. Estimating Ikaba at 1135 hours, estimating Juliet Juliet Papa at 1145. will leave flight level 100 for flight level 300 at 1155 hours. They'll transmit again at 1135. I say again, and you give a whole read back. You read out the call again, okay, in all your RCF calls in the exam. So fine, this explains what do you do in case you're facing an RCF immediately after takeoff. Okay, but now you have other scenarios too, right? We've already seen what happens when you do it after takeoff. Fine. But what happens if you have it during cruise, or what happens if you have it during approach? If you're facing an RCF during approach, what do you do? Fine. So let's look at it with a diagram. Now let's say this time I am reaching flight level. Okay, I'm reaching here at flight level 300. Okay, and let's say this is in continuation to what we had. So let's say this is Bravo, Bravo, Bravo. Okay, so fine. Now let's say it's a normal flight. We are coming on flight level 300, which was a final altitude. And let's say at this point, okay, RCF occurs. And mind it, I'm coming for an approach now. I intended to land. So what do? See, my main plan, if I talk about, is to continue flying till I'm overhead Bravo, Bravo, Bravo. And thereafter my intention is to spiral descend down to flight level 50 or to whatever the tower's limits are. Okay. And thereafter make or shoot an approach for the runway. So my intention is to just communicate that I'll be descending overhead. So how do I say it? What does the format look like? So everything stays the same from station call, station calling, transmission blind, everything stays the same apart from the plan. So you'll be, again, let me write down the format for you. So it's going to be station called, station calling, transmission blind, your position, then you give your estimates. But because you're making an approach now, your estimates will be ETA at destination. Okay, you'll have to give your estimating at destination. Then the phrase you'll use is will leave cruise flight level for flight level 50 and descend overhead whatever the VOR is, okay, whatever the name is, at time t, and thereafter make an approach. It's that simple, guys. It isn't anything more than two people talking. We've repeatedly said it here. Fine. So you tell them that I intend to descend overhead. In our case, it was Bravo, Bravo, Bravo. Hence the VOR code for Bombay is Bravo, Bravo, Bravo. So I tell them that I will come overhead Bravo, 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 and then descend from my whatever my cruise flight level was all the way up till flight level 50 overhead, and thereafter shoot an approach. Then I tell them that I'll next transmit. So I tell them I'll transmit at time t. Okay, that's basically when I come down overhead. Then I say again, you read back the whole call. Okay, in RCF you read back the whole call twice. So let's look at a question here. Let's say you're 60 DME, okay, the same flight plan, but the question says we are 60 DME inbound Bravo, 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 and we experience RCF. So what do? Fine. So let's follow this format itself and see. Okay. For the ease of understanding, I'll have to erase the question, but all that's given is that we are 60 DME inbound to Bravo, Bravo, Bravo. So whom are we going to call? We'll be calling Mumbai Control. Correct. Why? Because see, when I'm here and I'm within 60 nautical miles, there isn't any other reporting point. I am in the jurisdiction of Mumbai Control. Who is calling? So who is calling us? Station calling is Air India 1012. Transmission blind. What is our position? Our position was 60 DME inbound. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Right? At, let's say, 1300 hours on Alpha 474. ETA Bravo, Bravo, Bravo at 1330. Okay? Then we'll leave flight level 300 for flight level 50 at 1330. Thereafter, we'll make approach for whatever runway. We'll transmit again at 1330. I say again. Okay, so the whole call will sound like Mumbai Control, this is Air India 1012 transmitting blind 60 DME inbound Bravo, Bravo, Bravo at 1300 hours, Alpha 474. ETA Bravo, Bravo, Bravo at 1330 hours. Will leave flight level 300 for flight level 50 at 1330 hours. Thereafter, we'll make an approach for runway 27. We'll transmit again at 1330 hours and I say again. Okay. It's that simple. All you need to remember is what your plan is. Okay, while taking off, your plan is give your estimates. After your first estimates, take 20 minutes, then initiate climb. In terms of if you have an RCF during approach, whatever your cruise flight level is, you come overhead the station and you descend overhead and thereafter you shoot an approach. What do you do during cruise? If you have. Now this is honestly one of the easiest formats I find. So formats for RCF at cruise flight level. Okay. Everything's going to stay the same. Everything's going to stay the same. This is rather very similar to the skeletal format. Here, you will just have to give your estimates. So it will look like station called, station calling, transmission blind, your current position, your estimates of next two reporting points, your estimate of destination. I'll transmit again at time t. I will say again. Okay, very simple. So let's do a simple question. Let's say this question says that you are over Varanasi at a cruise flight level and RCF takes place. So overhead Varanasi and we have RCF. So what will the call sound like? The call will sound like Varanasi control. This is, let's say our registration is 6E459. Okay, so we are 6E459. Station called, station calling done. What are we doing? Transmitting blind. What is our position? Our position is overhead Bravo, Bravo, November at 1815 hours. Let's say we are maintaining flight level 330 on Romeo 460. Okay, let's say this is our position. Then let's look at our map. We are told that we are overhead Varanasi, right? So we are overhead this portion. Okay, and we are following Romeo 460. Okay, which is here. Fine. We are following Romeo 460 all the way to probably Kolkata. Okay, so what is my next estimate on my route going to be? The next possible estimate is Golf Golf Charlie or Gaya. So estimating Golf Golf Charlie at what? Let's consider some hypothetical time of 1835 hours. Then what's the next estimate? Tepal is the next estimate. Estimating Tepal at 1845 hours. And then what do? You give your ETA destination. So ETA Charlie Echo Alpha. So ETA Kolkata is probably 1945 hours. I say again, and then you read back the whole call. Okay, so it's very straightforward. It's station call, station calling, transmission blind, your current position, your two estimates, your destination estimates, and you say again. This is your format for when you face RCF during cruise. Okay, so we've discussed what all formats can they be there. They can be RCF failures during takeoff, after takeoff, during cruise, and during approach. Now, all of this was RCF if we are facing it because of a technical issue, right? What happens if we face RCF due to propagational error? How do we communicate then? So we have two options. One, if our transmitter is working, I try to contact some other aircraft who's probably at a higher flight level or who's probably closer to the station, and I expect them to relay a message. So what will that call sound like? Okay, the format for that call is going to sound like the aircraft you're going to call. Basically, whom are you calling? Who is calling? You tell them of your current scenario, which is negative contact with ATC, your current position, what is the message you want to relay, and then you request them to relay it. So let's look at an example. Okay, let's look here. Let's say we are 1 Victor Tango Sierra Echo Charlie, Sierra Alpha Charlie, and we are going from this. We are going from Kolkata to Port Blair. Okay. So let's say we are some flight. Okay, and we are 1 Air India 889er. Our registration is Victor Tango Sierra Alpha Charlie. So what does it sound like? Look at the format. Station called. Okay. Who is calling? Negative contact with Kolkata area control, whatever the ATC is. Then you give your position 120 nautical miles from Doped. Now in this particular question, in this particular scenario, we happen to have an RVSM contingency somewhere before. Okay, so we tell him that we have 15 nautical miles left of Whiskey 122 at flight level 325. We tell him we are unable RVSM due equipment, requesting rejoin at Whiskey 112 at Charlie at flight level 270. I request relay. So you see how this is my message. This is what I would have otherwise told the ATC. I'm just reading it out for this 1 Air India 889er so that they can relay it to the ATC. Okay, so the whole call will sound like Air India 889, this is Victor Tango Sierra Alpha Charlie, negative contact with Kolkata area control, position 120 nautical miles from Doped, currently 15 nautical miles left of Whiskey 112, maintaining flight level 325. We are unable RVSM due equipment, requesting rejoin Whiskey 112 at Charlie at flight level 270, requesting relay. Okay, then Air India, the aircraft who you've called, he'll probably relay it to the ATC. The ATC will give him the clearance and he'll relay the clearance to you. He acts like a bridge between you and the ATC. In case, there is no other traffic mentioned in the question, there is no other aircraft mentioned, you don't know, you cannot request an aircraft to relay. In that case, you contact the next ATC if current ATC is not responding. Like in our case, it would have probably been Delhi approach. Okay, or probably it would have been Kolkata area control. If not Kolkata area control, we could have called Chennai, we could have called Hyderabad, depending upon the route, basically. So you call the next ATC if your current ATC is not responding. Okay, so these are the 4 broad sections of RCF. Summing it all up again, okay, you have RCF, RCF can happen because of two reasons. It could be technical or propagational. When you're facing technical glitches with your, which leads to an RCF, you could start your calls with all stations, or you could start your call with transmission blind. You call all the other aircrafts if you're deviating or you've deviated already and then faced an RCF. You use a transmission blind call when you can continue with the flight plan, or you're going to follow some ATC clearance which you had gotten before RCF, or you're going to follow your RCF procedures. Fine. This explains you how do you use these two phrases. Now, RCF by itself can happen at three portions of flight. It could happen during takeoff, it could happen at climb, it could happen during approach, right? You could have three different scenarios. We've seen what do you do in all the three scenarios. Okay, we've seen what do we do when we are coming in for an approach. We maintain the same flight level till we are overhead, and then we descend overhead the station till flight level 50, thereafter making an approach. If we have it after takeoff, we climb to whatever our cleared flight level was last, and we continue following our flight plan. We pass an estimate, and 20 minutes after our first estimate, we initiate climb to our cruise flight level. Fine. If you're during cruise, it's extremely simple. Okay, we just straight away transmit what our estimates are and what is our ETA at destination. That's it. Okay, and we tell them that we're going to call them again, and we give a repeated call whenever we reach these significant reporting points. Then moving forward, if we are facing propagational errors and we are in the question it mentions another aircraft's call sign, then we contact that aircraft and we request them to relay the message for us. In case there is no call sign of any other aircraft given, we contact the next ATC, whichever is available. Okay, I hope this sums up all your syllabus for our RCF failure formats for RTR. If you have any doubts, just let us know. And we are planning on starting solving questions as we go with our papers. So I would recommend you to use a book when you're watching these videos and make your own notes. That being said, I will see you in the next video again. I hope you've understood everything we've discussed today. If you're looking for a place to clear your DGC exams, consider joining Wingman Aviation. We are an affordable ground school based out of Pune and provide one-on-one sessions, regular testing, and personalized lessons to make sure that you conceptually understand and ace your DGCA CPL exams. Also, if you're liking the content that we share here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting aviation content. Thanks for being a part of the Wingman community. Safe travels, happy landings, and I'll see you in the class again.